These three wrecked, Charles Sumner and James O'Brien, could win this race. Coming up on the high side, Taylor Stout tries to use the run, and now it is a push from Goodell on Chris Hudson on the bottom. Does he push him the whole way, or does he abandon him? He tries to find the inside. They are going to come together. They're going to come together, and Stout keeps it straight. Taylor Stout will win this race.
We're 3 wide down the front straightaway with a bump draft in the middle.
And that's Cowgill that's getting the bump from Cervantes. Another one joining in. Stanton working together with Greenhoe now and looking to go as far into the corner as they dare. Greenhoe around the outside. Cowgill still with him. Gets fed out just like he fed him out before. And Sinead pokes his nose out, and so does Moraes. Moraes manages to get to the inside, but this is through the 90. They're going to be wheel to wheel as they come up through the S's. This could be a toss-up to either one of them as to who comes out ahead. Back and forth they weave as they climb over the crest, almost banging doors, in fact, and cutting a big hole in the air. And Jean-Marc Tremblay wants to try and find a way through. Instead, he has to play defense as now Bertome makes a go at things. And down into the corner, Moraes is onto the podium as J.R. Williams falls to 4th.
Close behind. He's just going to want to keep everything nice and tight here. Careful through turn 5. That's a little bit, flirting with disaster was B.J. Fulton. Here he comes on the charge.
He's got the speed, but he's around the outside of turn 6, and he takes it. Can he keep it on the track? Yes, he does.
Oh, here comes Karthik Pai on Ove Trangrade.
Down the inside of turn 1, and Trangrade off into the grass. Thankfully keeps it from spinning back across into Miko. Miko has to dodge to avoid, but here he goes. Great exit. He's got the slipstream. Ove's going to defend. Coming down into Charlotte's Web, looking around the outside, breaks deeper into the corner. Can he do it the long way around? Not quite.
Not quite, and Lino's going to have to line this up again, but he is very close. He's not done. He's going to have a look going down to the inside of the museum corner. He's going to have to be later under the binders, too wide.
Couldn't quite get there, in a little puff of smoke as he has to get on the brakes once again, not to run into the back of him. Another race, another country. Jet setting around the virtual world, the POC has already set foot in Japan, Germany, Britain, and the US. Add the Netherlands to that list now. Zandvoort should prove a tricky one, but we'll see who adapts to its tight, twisty nature as we get ready to watch round 5 of the Porsche Owners Club Series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is DJ Clark. Behind the scenes is our director, Zach Johnson, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Newly crowned F1 champion Max Verstappen has brought Zandvoort back to the world stage. Let's hop in closer to see what it brings. Welcome to Zandvoort. This track just to the west of Amsterdam fell into obscurity, but is getting new life in recent times thanks to a resurgence of Formula One fans in the country. Back in the mid-20th century, it hosted the Formula One Dutch Grand Prix for nearly 30 years. Granted, it was on a much faster and more flowing layout. Nowadays, the 5 different versions which are available to be run are mostly tight and technical. The shortest one is a little under a mile, while even the longest only stretches to a little over 2.5 miles. These tiny lengths, plus the narrowness of the track and its lack of long straights, make passing almost maddeningly difficult. The two most common spots are Tarzan, which is the first corner, and Hans Ernst, which is the final chicane. Even though it has recently been updated in the real world with more banking, even on the old track here on iRacing, it has an unusual amount of camber for a road course. The two aforementioned turns, along with Hugenholtz and Schieflock, allow drivers to carry more speed than you'd expect. It also gives drivers a chance to take slightly unusual lines. Like most old school tracks, runoff is minimal. Mistakes in a few of the faster turns tend to allow no time for recovery and a big repair bill. Another unique quality is the fact that Zandvoort is literally next to the beach on the North Sea. Therefore, the sand easily blows its way onto the track surface and lessens grip. It's a tricky place to race, and even trickier circuit to win at. But with the beautiful surroundings, great history, and a mob of enthusiastic fans donning orange, you can't help but want to go visit this fantastic venue. Well, DJ, this is a place where we have seen many times in the past the F3 Masters try to race and all kinds of awesome series, including F1. But with these Porsche cars, how do you think it'll handle?
Well, it's going to be a tricky track no matter what, Joe, and overtaking is going to be at a premium. But really look for some areas for drivers to try to not make mistakes, as there are plenty of places where you can go flying off around here. Watch for Kumo to be one, especially where they're going to get caught out, and especially Schlevlock. That is going to be a big car eater from what we have been told. There are a couple of decent passing zones going down into Tarzan, maybe into turn 10, and down into Hans Ernst as well. But really and truly, the thing that you have to develop around here is just a good rhythm in these Porsches. Feel the riding of the car, how it's going to roll a little bit through these fast sweeping corners. This is a very, very rhythm intensive track, and you want to get into that mode as quickly as possible.
It's been interesting watching the qualifying, which we'll touch on in a second, because some have definitely got into that mode. But before that, we want to mention our sponsors, which includes Porsche. There is no substitute. Find out more at Porsche.com. And Sunset Mortgage. Don't put your money in the bank, be the bank. Check them out today at sunsetcash.net. As well as Octavio Tequila. Celebrate now. For a great tasting tequila, go to octaviotequila.com and purchase today. And finally, Century Financial Consultants, making the rest of your life the best of your life. You can check out their website at centuryretire.com. Take a look at the points. It's been getting kind of fascinating up there as well. The top four are spread by not too much. And then from down beyond that, it gets a little farther apart. Michael Oss, 34 points behind. But Michael Johnson and Travis Brown, a single point between them as they're chasing Tom Layton, who, as far as we can tell, has not showed up yet today. We're not sure if he'll be able to be around. But then Corey Lottful, a little bit of a jump back. But as we saw last season, he can be quick, and he is still in the hunt for this. What about today's race details, DJ?
Well, Joe, after the endurance round last time out, we are in round 5, which is going to be a standard 30-minute race with 30 minutes of open qualifying that we are currently in the middle of. Everybody driving the same car this year, the Porsche 911 GT 3R, and it is open setups, but this is a very open community and a lot of drivers willing to share their setups with one another. So it's really going to come down to driver preference and how you want to set out the car here today rather than trying to gain a massive competitive edge.
Absolutely. And, well, the competitive edge is going to Duncan, Johnson, Brown, and Ost right now because there is 0.2 of a second between those four for pole position. Less than that, really. 0.170 from first to fourth. From there on back, it's not too far behind a Lottful in fifth, as Travis Brown now just took the pole away from Duncan. And that puts Ost a little farther away. It's now a 1/4 of a second back, but Brown, Duncan, and Johnson still very, very tight, and they have been swapping that back and forth within the last few minutes even.
Yeah, indeed they have, Joe, and you and I were talking about beforehand, this is really kind of a return to form here for Jad Duncan. When we were racing in the multi-class with the GTEs and the GT4s, Duncan was a lightning qualifier, constantly putting his machine on the pole of that GT4 category. We hadn't really seen him show up and put down those kind of numbers this season, and this is the first time that we've seen him sort of get back to those pole position winning ways.
Well, he's going to have to try and get 7 more hundredths really down to get a pole position here today over Travis Brown, who has now gone back into pit lane. 7 minutes left on that, so plenty of time to try and trim that, because it's only about a minute 35, minute 36 from most drivers around here. Not terribly long laps despite how twisty it is out there. There you see the Californian currently coming down into Hans Ernst, one of the more difficult braking zones, and frankly a very unique chicane.
Yeah, it's sort of a flick back, forth. You brake heavily down, take the right-hander, and then it's a long, sweeping left-hander, slightly cambered there. And so you really have to get the car slowed down and then try to carry as much momentum as you can, trying to get around the last part of it to set yourself up for the relatively fast sweepers of Kumo and Ari Leyendijk.
And across the line, that last one was not quicker. In fact, that was a relatively slow lap there for Jan Duncan, so maybe setting up for a better one later on. Looking to see who is on a decent lap. Does look like Michael Bolton might be on a quick one in the 127, about half second up on his fastest, and he's sitting down in 14th currently. So let's see what he's got here with about half the lap left to go.
Yeah, and this is him coming into turn 10, one of the heavier braking zones on the circuit. Chance for overtakes there, but I think really and truly it's going to be more of a setup corner to try to get yourself ready to go down into Hans Ernst, that braking zone that we were just talking about. As we follow him down there, you can see that hard right braking zone downhill into that cambered left-hander.
And so far, so good. He's now 8 tenths up from what I'm seeing coming around Kumho. This is going to be the real significant part, as there's a car wrecking in front of him. He manages to avoid, I didn't quite catch who that was, but somebody off to the inside. And it doesn't look like it slowed him down as he crosses a 36.6, a massive improvement. And that will bump him. Well, it should have bumped him up, but looks like he stays 14th, actually.
Yeah, Andrew Beckner just having about 0.2 of a second over him. So a great improvement there for Michael Bolton, but that's just him getting up into the closer parts of it. Ooh, having a little bit of an off there. Jumping back to Jad Duncan. Let's see if Jad's able to do any better on this lap. That's a 1:35.4. That is not going to be an improvement.
You know, it's not just Jad Duncan that I'm a bit surprised, not really surprised, but raising my eyebrows at seeing up here, because we've heard Michael Johnson say many times qualifying's not his strong suit. He's been vying for this pole position and currently sits in 3rd. Now, I'm not sure. Well, yeah, it looks like he's out there and kind of on a slow lap to prepare for a flyer. So it looks like he is going to continue to try and see if he can go quicker. But this is looking like this might be one of his better circuits.
Yeah, indeed. And this is a circuit that either you love or you hate, Joe. Like I said, there's a very specific rhythm to this place. I personally am a huge fan of this place. I actually picked up my first road course win here at this track. I love the flow of it. It's technical and challenging, and yet so fast, and these corners just fly at you.
I have to admit, I got spoiled because my first introduction to this track was Grand Prix Legends, the old Papyrus game that iRacing was essentially born out of. And it's a much more flowing, much faster track. Very few slow corners on that version back from the 67 era. And so coming here, I was a little disappointed to see how it currently sits today. But I've certainly had it grow on me recently, especially getting to call races here, as we've had some really wild ones, especially when multi-class takes place. And Michael Johnson, as we're watching him come through Slotemacher, it's actually looking like he might be getting a bit of a tow, which usually you don't want around here. And yeah, he's going to get held up as Michael Robin in front of him, and is going to actually cause him a spin as the aero wash, unfortunately, is a little too much through Sheevlock.
Well, as Michael is wont to say, the aero wash is real, and catching him out there. We focus back now on the 73. This is Michael Ost, currently in 4th place. He's only about 0.08 of a second behind Michael Johnson, so just absolutely infinitesimal gaps here at the top of this field.
Yeah, and right now it looks like he's on a pretty good lap. It's hovering just about at his better time. Ting Wan is just in front of him. Let's see if she'll pull out of the way here, if she's going to be a bit of a hindrance. She might be far enough ahead that he might not catch her until the end. No, he's slowing up, so he doesn't like that lap. He's going to back it up and try again here. We're coming down to 2 minutes to go, so unless he hustles, he might only have just one more lap left.
Indeed, as that was a very, very squiggly moment there, coming around there as we now focus on Travis Brown. That was Corey Lotfella having that little off. Travis currently your pole sitter by 76 thousandths of a second. He's going to throw that car down into Hans Ernst. A little bit too much speed at the first end of the chicane, and he's going to run a little bit wide. I think this lap is not going to count. That'll count as an off track for him.
Yeah, I'm pretty certain that was just too far, and he actually pulls over. That's going to be it for him. He cannot improve from here. I see Rondeau on a pretty decent lap until he goes off track as well. That means his qualifying should essentially be over. Well, I guess he could get back around to start a new one, but again, he's got to start really picking up the pace here as we get a few other cars coming across the line. Looks like Corey Lotfella just started a flyer. Michael Bolton as well just started a new one. And then Michael Johnson is slow on the backstretch. He's going to be our next one that can potentially start a lap. He's only got a minute left, so he's really got to get the pedal to the floor.
Yeah, he's just waiting there as we follow Baccignoni. Oh, that's Lotfella around coming out of the corner. That is going to be an off for him, and that'll be his qualifying done.
Absolutely cannot get around to start a new flyer from that position. And Johnson now on the throttle just as he's being approached by Michael Robin. So he's going to have just enough time, it looks like, maybe about 20 seconds left by the time he crosses the line as he comes out of Line Dyke and down the front stretch on a flyer. Mehmet Karasay might be our last one able to cross the line, because after that, it's going to be Schulem in the 371 who's just exiting out of Hans Ernst with 15 seconds to go.
Yeah, and Mehmet will be able to get one more lap down should he choose. I'm keeping an eye on Schulem here. I don't think he is going to be able to get this in time. 5 seconds left, and he's just now coming onto the straightaway. Checkered flag waves. This is going to be Schulem setting his last time down. Doesn't look like that is an improvement there for the 371.
Mayorga crosses, and he improves by about 0.04 of a second. So that doesn't get him a position. Nothing counts for Travis Brown as that one was deleted. Andrew Beckner is going to be next in the 14. He crosses, but does not set a time as that one gets taken away from him. Bolton not able to go quicker that time, even though it did count for him. That takes us to this man, Michael Johnson, trying to square up off of the second of those hairpins in the infield and flies down to Hans Ernst.
I'm not seeing any green sector times out of him, though, and that'll be a little bit disconcerting here for Michael W. Johnson. Does look a little bit better in Sector 3 overall, so he's just going to be pushing as hard as he can. Comes out of Hans Ernst and down into Kumho, Joe.
Yeah, this is not looking like he'll be able to make up the time in these last couple corners as he flies out of Lion Dyke. He's about half a second off from what I'm seeing. So I think he is just going to complete this one for the practice itself. And indeed, a 35.7 as well off of his better times. And that takes us to our starting grid here today. Travis Brown put it on the pole, and Jad Duncan will start from second place. Michael Johnson, P3 for him, will be flanked by Michael Ost in fourth. After that, you have Jacob Abrams in P5. It's Corey Lotfella starting in 6. Doug Baccignoni starts the inside of the next row. Sam Mayorga will be P8. Then row 5 has Mark Rondeau and Mehmet Karasay in 10th.
In 11th, it's going to be Jeffrey Schulem, followed by Michael Robin with Andrew Beckner and Michael Bolton behind them. 15th will be Aaron Edwards, followed by John Momeyer, with Ting Guan and Doug Nguyen rounding out your 18-car field.
It is a pretty decent day out there, 82 Fahrenheit on the track itself with 73 degrees Fahrenheit in the air. But it is a little bit windy, about 12 miles an hour. Shouldn't affect them too badly. But as we often have heard other drivers mention, the wind can especially often blow a lot of that dust and dirt and gunk all over the track since it is right next to the beach. And if anybody starts clipping the dirt or the grass at the edges of the course, that is going to easily blow across it.
Yeah, it for sure is, Joe. And drivers are going to have to be careful of that. They're going to have to be aware of changing track conditions, as you said, especially out of those last two corners in particular. I also think you can get some coming through Slotmaker as well. That is an area where dust can very easily be ticked up onto the track, trying to cut the corners as finely as possible. And when you're coming in at that speed, it's just a little bit of loss of grip from the rear tires can send you spinning.
Well, so far, we've seen 3 different winners in the first 4 rounds. Leighton back at Road Atlanta was the first person to take back-to-back wins, or 2 wins in the season, really, with Michael Johnson taking victory in round 2 and Travis Brown opening with a win at Japan. So without Tom Leighton here, the chances are good that we'll get a new winner and see our 4th different one. But since Brown is on the pole and Johnson is starting in 3rd, they could find themselves getting their 2nd victory. And if I'm not mistaken, did Michael Ost not grid up?
No, he did not, Joe. So Ost is either going to be taking a pit lane starter. I'm not even seeing anything from him. He may have had a connection issue. I'm seeing him in pit lane right now, so he and Mehmet Karasay will both be taking a pit lane start here.
Interesting. Okay. Well, so not all the cars will be on the grid. It is a little bit dangerous at the start. It's not necessarily as much into Tarzan. This is the area I tend to watch out for. As you can see, the barriers are right up alongside DJ, and it almost becomes like a street course as they hit Hugenholtz.
Yeah, there is very, very little room for error in this section. And as you said, Joe, it really narrows up through here, and you've got to get down on the binders. You get offline. It's not like we're running a massive endurance race, but there will be some marbles that start to collect on the outside of Hugenholtz, and so that is going to be a concern if you get offline later in the race.
Then up the hill, past Sundrug, and through Schlotemacher, up into the new portions of the track. Basically, it veers off of what it used to be once they hit Masters. And that's certainly, you can tell that it's a bit old school, frankly, because yes, this is not the modern version where they have significant amounts of banking in a couple corners. But even here and way back in the day, they had a lot of banking around here. Look at Shevlock and just how much it is cambered in.
Yeah, it's very contrary to what you see from a lot of modern circuits where the trend tends to be off camber corners. And really what that means through Schlevlock is you can take so much more speed through the corner. You're still going to have to do a little bit of lifting, maybe a little bit of brush braking as you come down through the corner in these GT3s, but you can carry a whole bucket load of speed when you get going.
Yeah, here you see them. This is the more modern course. Basically, around the late 80s, they had to cut it off and send it through here. Before, it used to have a very fast chicane where Masters was, and then it was a series of sweepers that kind of slowly guided you back to a corner that was just on the outside of Lyondike. So the front stretch was even longer back in those days. It was a fearsomely fast track, other than those first couple hairpins through Tarzan and Hugenholtz. But now we come down out of the infield section and into Hans Ernst with that chicane that we talked about, where they once again have to whoa the car up and things get very, very tight. It's another place where on that first lap we've seen many cars have incidents, not anticipating the accordion effect.
Yeah, they're going to have to be careful. You see that accordion, that concertina effect as they break down into there. And because it is arguably the heaviest braking zone on the track, some drivers will be caught out by it. They're just going to have to be careful. Everybody's going to have to make sure their heads are on straight and they're paying attention to the drivers in front.
Just 2 more corners, then we go racing for 30 minutes here in the Porsche Owners Club Series. And Travis Brown is trying to set himself straight again and get back up to the lead in the points. After leading briefly at the first round, he hasn't been up at the top since then after Suzuka, with Michael Johnson leading for a couple, and now Tom Leighton back up at the front. Of course, naturally, he's probably going to lose that points lead without him here today. And the pace car will now duck in. There it goes onto the lane. Green flag is out, and Travis Brown is on the throttle. It's a bad start for Duncan. He starts to fall backwards. Lotfula tries to find his way through. He lifts a little bit early, and down to the inside, a look for the lead. Oh, and Lotfula gets punted off, and Tarzan, he is in the gravel.
And that's exactly what we were talking about, being afraid about. A little bit more contact up front. That's Robon and Beckner coming together on the exit of Tarzan, as now Robon trying to get that back pointed the right way. Looks like he's got it. Up front, Travis Brown continues to lead.
A track known for passing being difficult. I'm not surprised that we're seeing some aggressive moves here early as everybody wants to position themselves well. But Travis Brown has fended off his rivals. And as they come through Shevelock, he will be leading. And it looks like Jad Duncan starts to lose control, but he catches it before he hits the inside wall. But look at all the spots he's losing.
That was a mega catch for Jad Duncan, albeit one that he wished he didn't have to make. Now he's going to slot in directly in between Shulam and Rondeau, who are battling. But Duncan trying to fight back a little bit there on Shulam. As they go into turn 10, there's contact.
Shulam had a mistake coming into turn 9, and unfortunately, he was offline. That ran him into Duncan, and now Mark Rondeau gets both positions, moving him into 6th, up 3 spots from the starts. Oh, and Ost has had another problem in the background. Not sure what caused this one.
Not sure either, but I think this may have been what he was trying to do, avoiding the start like that. We've got a little bit of side-by-side there. That is Lotfula getting around Dung Nguyen, at least trying to here as they go down. A little bit of blinking there from Dung as they dive into Kumho.
Karasay not able to get by, and as they start to pick up speed onto the front stretch once again, this is going to be a big slipstream to Mehmet in the number 18. Starting from 10th place, he's already lost 3 spots. It's been a bit of a wild start on the first lap, but he's not able to make it through.
A little bit surprised by that. Dung going a little bit wider there on the exit of the corner. He had to check himself up as he did so. Karasay trying to attack behind, but he has got to worry about Robon being behind him as well. Robon a little bit out of position here.
Absolutely. So after early problems, as he sizes him up through the Hunsrück and Schlotemacher portions of this track, it crests. It's very blind here into the braking, but nothing doing that time. Karasay is going to be able to hold him. Oh, but he's slow. Did he get a slowdown penalty? That was very strange. Tried to let him through, and that elicited some contact between them.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that was a slowdown there, Joe, or maybe if it was just Karasay recognizing that there was a little bit more speed in that machine of Robon and wanted to let him on by. But one way or the other, a little bit strange.
We're hearing that it was not a slowdown. So, yeah, not sure what in the world had caused that. We do have some replays as it looks like things have now settled in finally. Maybe not. Thought, Dung Nguyen just lost a couple positions as he had a little bit of a spin down into the Hans Ernst chicane. So he is going to fall to 14th, it looks like.
Yeah, and it looked like going into Kumho there, that was a good move by Robon to get by Momeyer. This is a replay here of Ost. Ost just carried too much speed, it looks like.
Yeah, that sent him off into Shevelock, but here is the start. So that is Duncan in the yellow car on the outside. I think he's going to get a little, no, excuse me, it's Lotful who got the tip. Trying to see who caused that, though. I think that was Jacob Abrams.
It may have been Abrams, now currently in 3rd. There is that off with Michael Robon that we were noting earlier as they went around. Looks like a little bit of damage there to Dung Nguyen's car already on that front splitter. Let's watch this again. Yep, it was Abrams. That contact there between him and Lotfula, and then the around for Robon.
Yeah, he just got a little bit hit, and we jump forward. This is Duncan having things go south for the first part of this race. Wow. It snapped loose very easily, and a fantastic job keeping that from becoming a big wreck because everybody was coming around a rather blind corner. And then, unfortunately, as we see Ost come through the double hairpins, looks like the rear just kind of lost control on him.
Yeah, lost control on him and got tangled up a little bit with that incident ahead of him. So very, very unfortunate situation there for Michael Ost. Travis Brown, though, leading on away, currently sitting the fastest lap of the race and pulling out a 1.2-second advantage over his closest competitor, Michael Johnson.
But it was a little bit bigger than that before. Johnson's responded. He had a 35.8 and a 36 flat. So Johnson's not letting him get away quite yet. Abrams, though, seems to be dropping as he's got about 2.5 seconds to make up now. And looks like Michael Ost is in pit lane for some reason. Not sure if he got some damage that he needs to repair. In the meantime, we still have all 18 drivers out on track, even in spite of some problems.
Indeed, we do. And there is your leader in the 79 machine, getting hounded here by Michael W. Johnson, just trying to pull out the gap if he can.
Yeah, back up to 1.3, 1.4. Wonder if there's a little ebb and flow as to who is strong where around this circuit. It's such a unique one. I'm wondering if they've set up the cars differently.
They very well could have. Michael, obviously a lot of professional experience, likes a car to be a little bit looser, a little bit snappier, and have a little less downforce. So he may have some speed on the straights. Comparing some sector times, that might just be the case.
Let's see what the lap comparison is overall, though, because Travis Brown and Michael Johnson are coming to the line now. As Travis crosses this one, is going to be a 36.5. That's a little bit slower. Johnson at a 36.3. A 0.2 improvement over our race leader. So we caught him slightly. Definitely keeping him honest up to this point. Looks like Robin is trying to catch up to Dung Nguyen. And I actually think the 45 just took that 13th spot.
I think he may have. It just went off is what we're hearing, the 929 of Robin. So he is trying to fight back here on Dung Nguyen. This is going to be a little bit of a drag race. I don't think Robin's going to have the crossover unless he's very late on the brakes like that.
So overtakes Nguyen down into Tarzan, and behind them, Andrew Beckner is starting to close up. Oh, but we've had a big accident with Aaron Edwards, and he's going to smash into the barrier as he tries to desperately get it turned around. Maybe a little too quick on the throttle with another big hit into the Armco. But thank goodness he found his way to the grass, because otherwise he would have been a little bit in the way there through Hugenholtz.
And this looked like a little bit of, I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. Oh!
The grass.
Yeah, that was a grass catching out, and then literally the exact same maneuver getting caught out for Beckner.
And Robin, yeah, it looks like coming off of Hans Ernst, maybe a little too greedy on the throttle. Ooh, he was way low, and it looks like that curb kind of messed up the car, kept it from hitting the barrier, thankfully. So this is an incredibly tough track today with very many offs here in the first few minutes of the race. This time off the corner. Much better for all three of them.
Yeah, everybody able to hold that down a little bit. Beckner looking like he's closing in a little bit on Dung Nguyen here. We've got a little bit of a pass. This is going to be Lotfula and Bolton duking it out.
And coming out of Tarzan, sometimes you can see sneak attacks down into Hugenholtz, but it looks a little too far back from Bolton this time. And Mark Rondeau has taken his car into pit lane. I'm guessing he has some repairs that he has to do. Looks like he doesn't have a meatball flag, so has gotten them somewhere along the way. Spreading apart, the 127 unable to catch back up to the 22. And for a brief while, Michael Johnson was even closer to Travis Brown because he ran 2/10 quicker again last lap, but now it's stretched apart to 2.3 seconds. So Johnson was some sort of mistake.
Yeah, looking back there on that last lap, he ran a 1:37.3, so well off the pace of Travis Brown. You can see that big gap there, that 0.8 of a second loss that was on that last lap. Not sure where that mistake was made, but it was. He's got to be a little bit careful. Jacob Abrams is only 2 seconds behind him, and he does not want to lose any position to him.
Absolutely. But coming into this race, it was a 1-point difference between Johnson and Brown. So Brown winning will boost him up to the points lead, and Johnson will only have to stay in second place if they finish as they are. Meanwhile, Jacob Abrams, like you mentioned, is just kind of holding on. He's actually currently just outside of those top 5 in the points. So this would be a good boost for him if he can hold on to this podium.
Indeed it would, and his problems aren't exactly all ahead of him. That's Doug Boccignoni riding around right behind him in 4th, only about 2 seconds off of Abrams. So out of draft range, but also crucially out of that arrow wake. So we've got a really close battle here.
And take a look at Jeffrey Shulam, because Corey Lotvilla has gathered him up. Remember, he was trying to fend off Bolton. Well, he's left him in the dust and is already breathing down the neck of the 371. Lotvilla began this race from 6th position, so he's just about back to where he began. And he had that, as he takes a late dive down into turn 9 and almost a little bit of contact with Shulam. Shulam is going to hold off to the left-hand side, defending out into 10, a cut back, and unfortunately can't get underneath.
Really nice defense move there from Jeffrey Shulam, planting the car right at the apex, backing it up a little bit, as is his prerogative. Oh, but late on the brakes there is Lotvilla, and that's going to be contact.
Oh. And that's going to send Shulam farther down than just to 7th place. It looks like Bolton sneaks by, so 8th place for the 371. Lotvilla, who unfortunately got punted into Tarzan on lap 1, has just delivered a bit of that to somebody else now. But he's got about 4 seconds to make up to get to Sam Mayorga, who currently sits in 5th position. A 3-position gain for Sam since the start.
Yeah, it's a good run for Sam, and he's putting in some good laps here. Ran a 37.7 last time out. That is certainly getting him a gap over Corey Lotvilla and Michael Bolton. So just a good, consistent drive here from the 183. I'm pretty impressed. I got to think, though, here for Corey Lotvilla, he's going to have some problems. You can see the damage on that splitter.
That's bad news for him. You really want downforce around this track. And lacking that, he is going to be in trouble. Oh, and something has happened to Jad Duncan again. He spun it up coming out of turn 10 and has hit the wall once more. And I think, yeah, he's already used up one of his 2 spare cars. So he can come in to get that repaired if he finds it hinders him. But he is going to have to. Oh, and he actually has a meatball flag. Oh, so he is going to have to come in and take that spare car.
Day going from bad to worse here for Jad Duncan. We said he was returning back to the form that we saw him in those GT4s last year. Clearly not the case here during the course of the race, having a lot of problems. He is coming down pit lane.
So already down to 17th, and now he's going to go a lap down to Travis Brown on top of it. There goes the 79 on by, and it's up to 3.5 seconds over Michael Johnson. Last lap between the pair of them was 0.6 slower for Michael Johnson. He seems to be struggling now.
Well, and it could be that as that car for Michael Johnson gets a little bit lighter, it gets a little bit harder to control, and he's just having to fight the car a little bit more. You know, these GT3s, they're heavier than single-seaters, so they're not exactly as influenced by weight changes, but they certainly can handle differently as the race goes along.
Indeed. And we've seen many spins at this point. At least 5 of the drivers have been down pit lane, and it looks like Duncan has retired. Our first retirement of the day. Aaron Edwards should be able to inherit that 17th place here pretty soon, as that was a pass with Ost overtaking Guan, and she gets sent down to 14th with that overtake.
Yeah, but remember here, Ost on a massive recovery drive started from the pits and then was just involved in some first lap incidents here. So just trying to regain anything he can here for the 73.
Yeah, our hardest charger right now, I think, is still Michael Bolton in 7th place. Came up from 14th on the grid, and that was with a qualifying time set. So Bolton doing well to try and avoid the same issues that many of the other drivers are experiencing here today. He's been trying to hold on to Corey Lotville in front of him, but Corey's been kind of inching forwards as that gap is now about 2.8 seconds up to the red 22.
Yeah, so he's trying to gain that in the best that he can, but as I talked about with the rhythm around this track, Joe, when you lose it sometimes, you just have to keep going around to try to find it again and keep praying that it comes back to you.
We're about halfway through this race now, 15 minutes left on the clock. So Lotville, who's made his way back to where he began, can he start trying to make some passes? Mayorga is actually much closer to him now. And it's about 1.5 seconds up the road as we watch down the front stretch with the battle between Beckner and Robban. Robban has it within 0.7 of a second, looking to try and crack into the top 10.
Closing in here the best that he can, trying to see if there's going to be any way by that black number 14 machine of Beckner as they work their way through Hugenholtz, coming onto this long curving back straightaway now as they get up to speed.
And now Momeyer is tied for that hard charger because he is up 7 positions into 9th. Oh, we've got a problem. Is that Ost? Oh. So the 73 off for some reason on the inside of Hugenholtz. I think he just spun it touching the grass on his way in, spun it around, and then he's actually taken a tow. So he is back in pit lane. Wonder if he's going to be our latest DNF, as Aaron Edwards looks like he has called it a day. So we are down to potentially 15 or 16 cars left rolling.
Yeah, just depending on what Ost decides to do there. Focusing back on that battle, though, looks like Momeyer is being caught by Beckner and Robban catching in turn. Good run there through Hans Ernst for Beckner, able to carry some good speed around that 180-degree left-hander.
Yeah, this is where he really wants to be on it and off the apex from Momeyer. He was way off the bottom of the turn. This is going to make him vulnerable as they come onto the main straight out of Lyondike. Beckner gets the tow. Will we see a defense from Momeyer? He doesn't move down to the inside. He allows him to take a look. And as they go side by side into the highly banked Tarzan corner, Beckner not able to make it stick, but he carries it on as they continue wheel to wheel and up into Hugenholtz. Somebody's got to give way. It is going to be Momeyer in the end.
And all of that battling has allowed for Michael Robban to be able to catch right up behind. Now he'll get a nice swift draft here off of both of these cars, but he's not really going to have a good overtaking opportunity potentially until Masters.
Have to admit, it is rare that you see side by side through Gerlach, and somehow they manage that with Beckner coming out ahead and in 9th place. As this is happening, it looks like Mayorga might be under threat because Corey Lotville is now on his tail. They break down into Hans Ernst. He's not close enough to try and send it. Oh, almost making contact through the second part of the corner, though.
Yeah, Mayorga got a little bit offline into the first part, and that gave Lotville just a whiff of a chance to overtake. Now Lotville has just got to line this up behind. It'll be flat out, even in the air wash there for Lotville. Coming through Ari Lyondike, tries to set him up here down the straightaway into Tarzan.
Look at the immediate defense, but now he's a little weavy there, and he's going to have to give him the outside way deep into the corner. Lotville somehow makes it. He wasn't quite on the apex, but that's the pass done for the 22.
Nice job by Corey Lotville to be able to hold on to that. He will now be able to take on 5th place and focus his eyes up ahead to try to get up there.
Yep, P5. Nicely done. He has got a gain of 1 at least at this stage. And up ahead of him, let's see, how far is he back from the leaders? About 16 to 17 seconds back, and doesn't look like he is running any quicker. About the same pace, though, so you have to wonder what could have been if he hadn't have had that incident into the first turn on the first lap.
Yeah, Corey Lotville's got a lot of speed here, and it's a lot of coulda, woulda, shoulda for him. I do really feel bad having that incident, that contact with Jacob Abrams, just absolutely spoiling his race.
Well, now that that has settled out, I wonder if we could go back to Momeyer. Yep, here we go. As Beckner is actually pulling away. He has started to distance himself from the 6 and the 929, but Robban has been kind of stuck. Not sure why, but he's having trouble getting the overtake done on John.
Ooh, has a little look into turn 10, but that door is going to be shut by Mohmeier. Gets a, oh, I thought he was going to get a better run, but that rear end of the car just wanted to slip away from Michael Robin, and that is going to stop him from getting an attack here down into Hans Ernst.
A lot of wheel spin. That was very costly. Oh, but very deep into the corner. Mohmeier hands all that time back to him, and they're back together once again. The 6 coming off of the chicane. Can he get better down to the apex? Yeah, that was looking much more tidy down through Kumho, but still a little slow compared to Michael in the 929. They come onto the front stretch. This is going to be the decisive moment.
Yes, it is, and Robin trying to keep in as close behind as he can. He's going to poke his nose to the inside, see if he can do a little bit of a Corey Lotvola impression, but a little bit too timid on the brakes, although that is going to be Mohmeier running wide. They're side by side.
Too aggressive on the brakes instead for the 6. Side by side through Gerlach, almost banging doors, and he fends him off as Robin is just rebuffed down into 11th.
And there was a little bit of contact there for Mohmeier. He almost got completely sideways coming up through Hugenholtz.
Yeah, nose to tail, as Michael was not anticipating the early braking with how tight they were to the left-hand side there into there. But thankfully, both able to carry on. Let's not forget that they do have an incident limit here, 17, and they're going to be given a drive-through. So he's got to, oh, and that is actually going to send both of them around as he sticks his nose in down to Masters. And unfortunately, Mohmeier gets the worst of it, and he is now sent to 11th. Well, make that 12th as Dung goes by.
Oh, and it looks like also going by is Mark Rondeau. So a lot of drivers being able to get by John Mohmeier. Mohmeier trying to fight back a little bit there, but not able to get it slowed down. And I think that was contact with Rondeau.
Rondeau spinning, and yeah, if it was very, very slight. And he's going to let him back through. So the sportsmanlike thing done for John Mohmeier. But interesting that Robin did not do the same. He did not let him have the position back.
No, he did not. Not exactly what I would expect here at the POC, but I think maybe temperature's just running a little bit high here as this track is catching more than a few people off.
And we thought it was going to be a tricky one, and man, it is indeed quite tough today. Still being led by Travis Brown. I don't think we've seen too many issues from him out there. It's about 4.5 seconds over Michael Johnson, clearly pacing that number 9 today and keeping him at arm's length, not allowing him to get close enough to be a threat. But the Falcon liveried machine just has less than 10 minutes to go, so probably in the realm of about 5 or 6 laps here.
Yeah, I think that's about roughly what it is. I'll tell you what, though, Michael W. Johnson's got to be keeping an eye in his rear view mirror. Jacob Abrams is less than 2 seconds behind him here at this point. There you can see Jacob. Michael lost almost 0.5 of a second on this last lap. Let's see here on lap 14 what those times are as they cross over. Michael was able to gain back 0.3, so clearly a little bobble there, and he's able to keep back going.
This is sort of the bizarro world track for Michael Johnson. He's usually better at the race and worse at qualifying. Here, he was great in qualifying, and for some reason in the race, he just can't quite push as hard.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what it is, but he may be in a little bit of a position here where he is just thinking about the overall points championship, Joe, knowing that being able to hold on to this second place is just going to be a good, solid drive for him, and pushing a little bit too hard over the edge may bring him into some potential, problems, and doesn't want to throw away good points.
Speaking of the points, Abrams probably wanting this second place because Ost is actually, looks like he might be DNF'd. He's been in the pits for about 7.5 minutes, so I don't think he's going to be returning. He's already taken a spare car, but he still had one left, so he should have been able to pop that in and be able to get back out on the track, which is why I think he might not be returning. That said, with Abrams behind him by only 4 points coming in, he's going to overtake him here easily with this third place. That's going to be 12 points that he'll bump up, but if he can get that one more, it's going to be 15 points instead. That's a pretty significant difference.
Yes, it is. So he is going to be pushing quite heartily, although I think on that last lap, it does look like Michael was able to... No, Michael W. Johnson losing about a tenth there to Jacob Abrams. So this gap is ebbing and flowing. This battle not going away yet.
I think Abrams would push himself into third or fourth. I think fourth place, actually, potentially. Depends on what happens with Latvala. Actually, yeah, he's probably not going to catch Latvala here, who sits in the 5th position. And I believe that is an 8 or 9 point score for him there, as it will sit. And we've had a spin from Momeyer coming out of turn 9 as he went a little bit wide out of that right-hander. That actually sent him into the barrier. Hopefully he didn't get too much damage out of that.
Yeah, indeed. You can see a little bit of crumpling there on the front of that car, but it looks like it's at least handling straight, so he'll be able to be okay in that regard. Continuing to keep an eye, though, on this battle between Johnson and Abrams. Abrams bringing it down here through sector 1 and 2. They were dead even on that last sector through sector 4, so pretty interesting there. But I think Abrams has got the gap under 1.2 here. He is definitely catching.
Oh, man. He's looking a lot quicker, but the laps are ticking down. Once he catches him, then he's going to have to try and pass him. And Johnson probably knows how to make this car wide. I think the only thing that's going to be the Achilles heel of the 9 is we've seen Michael buckle under pressure in the sim before. So if Abrams can try and just slather that on, I could see the 728 being able to elicit a mistake from the 9.
I could see that as well, Joe, and we'll have to see how it plays out. A little bit quicker there through the first sector again for Jacob Abrams. These first 2 sectors seem to be where that red and white machine has a good amount of speed to be able to build up. I think a little bit through the back sectors of the track is where Michael W. Johnson is able to pull away a little bit.
Yeah, because this is now down to 1 second between them. It seems almost more like Johnson is the one losing pace, because Abrams is still only 6.3 seconds behind Brown, as we had an off there on the front stretch. This is Beckner, who's now getting it rolling. This is in 9th place. He was trying to stay up with Schulem, did not lose a position. He stays in 9th as he's kind of on his lonesome out here right now.
Yeah, a little bit in an island unto himself. Gap coming down. Oh, no, that's Abrams off in the back.
Oh, a sigh of relief coming from that purple number 9. Abrams with a mistake, and that may have been 2nd place cost for him. He's still within about 2.5 seconds, but Brown is going to be coming across the line with 2 laps to go now.
Yeah, so that gap's about 3 seconds, as you said, and I think that's going to be a little bit too much for Jacob Abrams to bite off here. I think that may be podium positions done and dusted.
Okay, all Michael has to do is cruise that home from here. The good news for Jacob is that Doug Boccignone, who's been kind of very silent in this top 5, is way too far back. He's still about 5.5 seconds behind Abrams, even with that hiccup that Jacob just had. So Doug's going to just get a handy 4th place. And in fact, I have to imagine that this green car is probably looking in the mirrors more than anything, because Corey Latvala has been closing that down.
Yeah, Corey's got about 4 seconds to be able to catch up to him, but we have seen the outright speed out of that number 22 on the day. So I wouldn't put anything out of the grasp here of Corey Latvala.
Yeah, Latvala last time by 36.6. Boccignone 37.3. That's 0.9 of a second. If it was maybe 2 or 3 laps longer, Corey actually probably would have had a shot at 4th place. But yeah, not seeing that happen as it stands, unless Doug slips up in these last few laps. But Travis Brown's coming down to Hans Ernst, just a couple more corners, and the white flag is going to be waved for him.
Indeed it is, and that white flag will be a sigh of relief, especially considering he is catching up to some lap traffic there. That is Mehmet Karasay and John Momeyer directly ahead of him, so he's probably going to back off here a little bit, try to not get involved with those lapped cars here on this final lap. Absolutely, and we haven't had a huge field. We still only have 15 of them rolling right now. Ost has not returned. And actually, Mehmet Karasay is battling for position with Momeyer.
So that's bad news for Brown when he catches them. He's going to have to hope that they can deliver some sort of truce and get out of the way of him, or else he's going to have a tricky time trying to navigate two cars battling for position.
Yeah, indeed he is, Joe. We keep our eyes focused on that battle, and if they don't get lapped here, they'll have a whole other lap to try to resolve this, so this certainly has some potential for fireworks.
Indeed. But let's see, what kind of lap times are they running? A 37.3 last time. Brown, actually, well, Brown ran a 37.3, so they matched him, Mehmet Karasay did. John Momeyer, a 40.8. He's been spinning, so he's the one that seems a little bit hindered here. Brown might not indeed catch up to them in the end, as a little bit wide there from Momeyer opens the door. Karasay not able to attack at this stage, and indeed at 0.3 of a second back. I'm not expecting him to be able to get to the inside down into Hans Ernst. No, but he's going to try and line it up coming off the corner. As we watch the 79 continue to watch this unfold, he can actually just hold off a little bit and let them battle, as he's got enough of a gap. And indeed, that looks like exactly what he's going to be doing as Karasay tries to get the launch off. But right now, Travis Brown, after a DNF, or at least a bad finish back at Hockenheim, takes victory with his latest podium now being the win here at the Netherlands.
Michael W. Johnson and Jacob Abrams coming home in line to finish out your podium positions. Doug Baccignone a little bit behind Abrams. This a nice little battle starting to develop here in the back.
Yes, this is Nguyen, who actually got overtaken, I think, by Rondeau pretty recently within the last lap. And he's trying to hound him down, but he overshoots the corner, and that pulls him farther away. Karasay, in the meantime, is still just looking left and right and all over to try and overtake the 6.
Yeah, he is absolutely hounding him here as they go down into the corner. A little bit of a cutoff there for Momeyer.
Beckner got a spot. Sorry, Beckner just overtook around the outside. Schulem, I'm not sure if he's got damage or if he's short on fuel, but he's coasting, and he's going to lose another one. Robin gets by. Schulem is barely going to have enough maybe to get over the line before Rondeau. He's going to have to really coast here. Rondeau's coming, and he just gets over in time for 10th place. That was bizarre. He must have short-fueled it as we go back to the battle for 14th.
And that is going to be Karasay able to get by Momeyer, going down into Hans Ernst. Just has to hold it out here through Kumo and Ari Leyendijk, and it looks like that's exactly what he's going to do.
So Momeyer can't hold him back, and he'll be the last one to finish. Yes, the last one to finish this race here in 15th. That'll take us to a quick break. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so stick around.
This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in enduro series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone and the Nürburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Circuit Park Zandvoort, and as round 5 here in the Porsche Owners Club wraps up, Travis Brown takes his second win of the season, the first time he's won since the opening salvo that he was able to deliver back in Japan. Michael Johnson followed him home in second, and though it was 4.3 seconds behind, it seemed like Michael struggled to keep pace all race long. Jacob Abrams even threatened him at times before he made a mistake and had to settle for third, but it was a climb from fifth, so still a good day for him. Doug Baccignone, 7th to 4th. And despite a looming Corey Lotfula, he still managed to come home with a good points haul. Lotfula, a tip at the first corner despite a great start for him that sent him all the way to the back of the field, and he climbed his way to 5th in the end. Sam Mayorga was P6 as Michael Bolton, a climb of 7 positions to finish 7th. It was Andrew Beckner in 8th, followed by Michael Roban in 9th. And for some reason, Jeffrey Shulam coasted the line, as far as we can tell, lacking enough fuel to finish.
Mark Rondeau came home in 11th, followed by Doug Nguyen with Ting Nguyen behind him in 13th. Mehmet Karasay was 14th, followed by John Momeyer, and then your DNFs on the day, Michael Ost, Jad Duncan, and Aaron Edwards.
That brings us to Travis Brown, your winner here today. As I mentioned, his first win since the opening race of the season. And that's got to feel pretty good considering, Travis, you had your poor finish at Hockenheim. You came back with a 3rd and then a 2nd, and now back up to the top spot. That's got to feel good.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel bad for Jad. I know he definitely had some pace tonight. He and I had some fun practice races leading up to it, so I was looking forward to the battle. But I'm not sure exactly what happened to him on turn 1, but or lap 1. But it was definitely feels good to be back on top.
Yeah, he unfortunately had a bit of a spin and sheave lock, and that's a tricky one, no doubt. Once you were able to kind of shake Michael Johnson, it looked like you were mostly managing things. Was that the case, or were you still at full tilt?
Yeah, no, I was just trying to maintain that gap and make sure I didn't make any stupid mistakes. This track definitely going down the hill as an easy one to overcook and try and carry too much speed and spin out. And then also that last turn heading onto the front straight, put a wheel in the dirt and could be race over. So yeah, just trying to play it safe and bring it home.
Well, that 4-point score back at Hockenheim might wind up being important, because it seems like those top runners have all been incredibly consistent here, you included. The only time you haven't been on the podium was that 2nd round.
Yeah, that's the goal. Try and just be consistent. I know Tom's definitely, super fast, and him not being here tonight, I had to, felt a little extra pressure, like I had to win it, because we're going to have some serious battles the rest of the season, I'm sure. But I wasn't taking Jad for granted. He had some, like I said, serious pace, and he had pole for a while there in qualifying. So I had to put a clean lap together to get it. But yeah, it's going to be fun having him in the mix, and we got some fast guys for sure.
Well, again, congratulations on win number 2 this season. Is there anybody you'd like to thank for that one?
Yeah, I got to give Jad. I mean, he was kind of pushing me through the off week of practice. I knew that he was fast, so I had to put in a little extra practice time to make sure I was consistent and clean. So that's the fun of a league competition.
That was Travis Brown, your winner here today for round 5. And it looks like DJ's caught up with Michael Johnson, who finished 2nd.
I have indeed, Michael. A little bit of a reverse race for you there. We're not used to seeing you qualify up that high, but being able to come home 2nd still got to feel good.
Oh, it does feel good. It just wasn't where I thought I thought I had it, and I made a major mistake at the opening of the race. So there are modes, fuel modes you can put the car in, and I knew I was kind of short fueled. Like I'd be right on the edge. And so I put it into full course yellow mode for that very first lap and 3/4 of the first race lap. So I was actually in a full course yellow mode for 3/4 of the first race lap when I realized it. And then I popped it out right at Hans Ernst and then was able to go on from there. But Travis had just gotten too far away from me. There was nothing I could do at that point.
Oh, no, I hate to hear that, my friend. But so at that point, I mean, were you pushing hard, or was it a maintained situation there?
Well, I wanted to see if I could catch up to him, and I was just a little bit too far out to be able to do it. If I could have been close enough to be in his draft, I think I had a chance to be there, but Travis is fast. It's one thing to catch him. It's a completely different thing to pass him. And I had just decided I have to wait for Travis to make a mistake. And then I just started messing with Jacob behind me. So I'm going along because I at that point I'd given up on catching Travis. So I was like pacing and pacing and pacing. I'm like, where is he faster? Where is he slower? And then I'd slow down a little bit, let him catch up, and then see what would happen if he got into that draft, because I wanted to race. And then I let him get a little bit too close by accident. And then coming out of turn 10, I think he got a little wing wash and he got on the throttle too soon, and that sent him off in the grass. So the fun was over. But other than that, it was a very quiet race outside of lap 1 and, and that incident.
Well, I mean, as we go along, how much are you looking race to race? How much are you looking to the championship? Because you are very much a contender here in this championship, this race around.
Well, I'm looking hard at the championship. I sat at the top of the table for two races, I guess, 2 weeks. So I like being there. E2 is not a bad place to be either. It's kind of the catbird seat. I think I have the consistency as far as finishes. I think I've got 1/4, but everything else is first, second, or third now. So I feel like I've got a pretty good position where I can be comfortable to stay near the top and have a good fight to hold the top if I get there.
Well, we obviously wish you all the best of luck, and I think after tonight you come out P2, so that is good. But anybody you want to thank for the run here tonight?
Well, of course, all my sponsors. There's Fix Vodka, Truffle Shuffle. Of course, we've got Freedom Supercars, T-Mobile for Business, Simply, and Sugar Studios LA. And unfortunately, my livery didn't make it through, but I had a very nice Ukrainian flag livery that I had gotten from someone in another league, and then modified it to fit my car. And hopefully that all comes out better than it's been looking for the past few weeks.
Well, I have to agree with you there on that one, my friend. But thank you so much. That was your second place finisher, Michael W. Johnson.
We've got third place, Jacob Abrams, ready to chat as well with a finish that'll bump him into the top 5 in points. Jacob, you were starting to catch Michael, and it sounded like he wanted to have a bit of fun with you, but what happened at the end?
Yeah, I got within about a second of him, and then I just got a little trigger happy on the throttle, and the rear end slipped out, ran wide into the dirt, and had to collect it up. But I was just impatient. Once I saw that I was within a second, I kind of wanted to catch him in the next couple corners, but I should have waited a little longer.
And also, of course, there was lap 1 as well, where things went a little bit awry between you and Corey Lotville. Have you and he had a chance to talk about what happened there into Tarzan?
No, not yet. I'm sorry to Corey about that. I didn't really get a chance to take a look at it in the replay, and it was kind of, just a quick thing that I didn't really get a good look at when it was happening either. I was looking at 10 other cars around me. So again, sorry to him for that. And then, I have to take a look at it and see what happened.
It's been a bit of an off and on season. You had a podium back at Hockenheim, but round 1 and round 3 weren't so hot. And then, of course, you had to miss for last round at Road Atlanta. So what are you looking at? Are you happy to be within the top 5 in points, or do you have higher aspirations?
Yeah, that's kind of all I'm really looking at, because realistically, I just haven't had much time to practice or really drive this season. I mean, I was out of town for the last race at Road Atlanta, and at this round at Zandvoort, I only started practicing today, this afternoon. So I'm kind of going into the track with zero prior experience, and that's kind of going to be the theme for most weeks. So it's just happy to get a podium.
That's understandable, and it was definitely a well-earned podium. Anybody you want to thank that helped make it possible?
Just want to thank POC for putting all this on, and you guys as well for doing the broadcast. Thanks, guys.
Well, thank you very much. That was Jacob Abrams in the 728 machine taking third, which is going to wrap us up. And of course, we want to thank the sponsors for the series, which includes Porsche. There is no substitute. Find out more at Porsche.com, and Sunset Mortgage. Don't put your money in the bank, be the bank. Check them out today at sunsetcash.net. As well as Octavio Tequila. Celebrate now. For a great tasting tequila, go to OctavioTequila.com and purchase today. and Century Financial Consultants, making the rest of your life the best of your life. You can check out their website at centuryretired.com. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here. And additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. Check out her Bandcamp for more great work. Thanks to the team today, DJ, Zach, and Dougie. You can find more info about GSRC at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media. And also check out our merchandise store. It's gsrc.storenvy.com, and there's a link in the description below to make it nice and easy. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment, because next time out in 2 weeks, we're going to Barcelona. That'll be Monday, March 21st at 11 p.m. Eastern. We have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out, mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.